Monday, Matchmakers. I am Ken, CEO and founder of Kupid. And Kara, why don't you give us the introduction today?
And I am Kara Bell, professional matchmaker. It is a first and last name, but people love to run it together like Kara Bell. It
I
just
really thought
flows.
you were
Flows.
Carabelle. Like it's like proper Southern, like, oh, that's Carabelle
Oh,
over
that's
there,
Kara
you know?
Bell. It flows. Yeah. So happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Kara. For all of you that are joining us for the very first time, if you don't know, we just launched Cupid last week. It feels like it's been a month because I haven't slept at all since last week. But you know what? It's awesome. Very excited to have everybody here today. We do these live trainings a few times a week. I will caveat that we're not having a training on Wednesday. We got to do Thanksgiving, but we'll come back on Friday. But today's training is really based around gratitude, understanding getting your first client. And we're going to talk a lot about the matchmaker experience, all the different avenues to Cupid, and kind of some of the things that are happening on Cupid right now. So, Kira, if you don't mind, I'd just like to throw it in real quick and let everyone know. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen. So as you guys can see, this is the Cupid app. We're going to do a lot of screen sharing as we show you guys stuff, but we actually have more than 138 matchmakers so far across the USA. Every type of person, there's me right there, all over the place, right? So make sure that you've completed your matchmaker profile if you'd like to work as a matchmaker. If you have any questions, you reach out to us on Discord. Oh, there's Linda. So make sure you reach out to us on Discord. One more really important piece I want to focus on is by clicking your little hamburger menu, you want to be using your invite link. This is a core part of our success as a community. We have to have lots and lots of singles to match with our clients. And as you can see, there's a few people at the top of the leaderboard, but they've invited very few people, Kara. I was expecting a whole bunch more people, right? I was expecting hundreds of invites or maybe even thousands. So, and there's a reason why, because we're going to pay a big, huge paycheck next week, right? End of the month, we're going to give the number one person who invites the most singles $1,500. Number two gets $1,000, and number three gets $500. And Kira, that's not a small amount of money. So
that's right on time for the holidays, right?
Sure is.
Once again, just a reminder, not only are you out there trying to recruit for your clients, you're also recruiting for people that don't want to become clients to become singles in the database.
Correct. Right, exactly. Thank you, Kara. So that's just wanted to remind everyone who's tuning in, if it's your very first time, there's a whole bunch of training. We're actually going to re-record training this week. So you should expect a whole bunch of new training. I'm going to do lots of in-app, side-by-side stuff. So it'll really help you get to understand Cupid a lot better. How do I do this? How do I do that? It's coming this week. Don't worry. We're going to give you very specific training on that. But Kara, I just wanted to kind of call out today our very first topic of the Cupid podcast, hosted by one of my favorite matchmakers, Bella Claire. I'm going to go ahead and pull up on the screen. And Kara, you had some time to listen to the Cupid podcast today. Was that right?
I did. I love this. This has probably so far been my favorite because what she did is she shared a really authentic experience. And it's an experience that you guys as matchmakers are going to encounter. Ken and I and Bella Claire we're all trying to really prepare you for what happened to her yesterday, which is just a conversation that was had over brunch amongst friends. And so it's if you haven't had time to listen to it, it's a must. You have to listen to this because it will happen to you over the next 4 days. I guarantee it will happen to you.
Okay, so why is that, Kara? Give us some spoilers on this, because I have all these things that I pulled out of the podcast. But I can kind of summarize what happened. The podcast episode was really based around Bella Claire's experience with doing what we all do, right? She went to brunch. We all go to a meal, we hang out with people, and someone says, hey, I'm going to bring a friend. And you say, awesome, the more the merrier, right? It's always nice to meet new people and interesting, especially in our industry. And Bella Claire calls herself out, and she says, I wasn't really ready to pitch my business. I wasn't ready to and I wasn't even thinking about it. But what happened to her, Kara, is what's going to happen to all of us this week at Thanksgiving. And all the things that happen, the in-the-yard football game that we play at Thanksgiving, all those little things that happen during this holiday season, all those encounters with our family and our friends and new connections, and your cousin's boyfriend's uncle, all those people that come to Thanksgiving, right?
That's right.
And the conversation just came back to the one thing that kind of unifies everyone. And as matchmakers, as you learn more about the space, You'll see how seamless of a conversation this is. But basically, Bella's hanging out. She meets a new girl, and they start talking, and the girl starts sharing some of her relationship experience entirely, like not Bella's inception. She did not like say, "So tell me, are you single?" No, they're having their brunch, probably having mimosas. She didn't mention that, but I would bet so. Pop open the bottle of champagne and start talking about boys.
Right.
That's life. As humans, we want to
Hmm.
share our human
Hmm.
experience.
Hmm.
It's something we all share.
Right.
So, Kara, what did you hear when you listened to that?
Well, what I heard was I took away a few things. The one thing, the biggest thing that I took away is that different generations have different expectations on dating. And so she was talking about a 26-year-old lady that for most of her adult life, basically, she's been married, she's coming
Right.
out of a divorce, and she met her husband in college. So she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really have any dating skills. She's coming out and now she's saying, "Hey, I'm ready to date again, but I don't know how the hell to do it. I met my
Sure.
ex-husband in college. So what are we doing now?" Because we all know that things, change, technology, and just as time goes by. So she's now trying to figure out how to date. What are the best ways for her to date? What are the best ways for her to circumvent, people that maybe she's not attracted to?
Sure.
And so Bella was having that conversation where she just shared with Bella. Bella didn't even ask about like, are you single or are you married? It doesn't have to be that conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because most people, when you describe to yourself who you are, you're also going to say, "Hey, I'm Kara, no, I don't have any kids and I'm single," or whatever. It's just natural. We just
Right.
do that. We're programmed to share those things. So, anyway, she was saying, the young lady was sharing with Bella Claire how many likes she got on Bumble.
Oh
She
my
actually
gosh.
pulled out her phone
Oh,
at brunch and showed Bella, "Look, I've gotten 3,000 likes on Bumble."
crazy.
Like, to me, that would just be, I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, my head would be spinning. That's way too much.
Even 30, Kara. Forget 3,000, forget 300. Like 30 people to try to get to know and then prioritize and decide on. Like, that's hard. Even that small number. And
Who
so,
has
how do
time
you
for
even approach? How do you approach 3,000 people? And then how do you
exactly.
prioritize? How do you? It sounds like a recipe for disaster.
How do you go about skinning that bear? Like, who has time to go through, or who wants to go through 3,000 likes like that? I don't know about you, but I have a job. That seems like a full-time job, and I wouldn't want any part of it, right? So I thought the conversation was really natural. I like that, how it just was an innocent conversation. And the lady ended up sharing the fact that she was single.
Mm-hmm.
Bella then in turn told her, "Hey, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I do, and this is how I can help you."
Right.
Which once again was a very natural conversation. So that's what I took away from it. Is that there are dating challenges. Um, Bella made a really good point saying that she felt like the apps are more so for people that are just dating casually,
Sure.
socially. Matchmakers are for people that are really serious, that really kind of prioritize quality over quantity now, because maybe they've had 6 months to go through apps thinking like, "Hell no, I'm not doing this," right? I don't have the time, the energy, and I don't want to try to discern who's fake and who's not. I'm
Right.
not doing that. So I just thought it was a great, and then she ran back home to record it while it was fresh in her mind,
Mhm.
the conversation. But
Right.
she just kind of said, "Hey, Ken and Kara have been preaching about this, and here I was at Sunday brunch in the situation."
Because
Was
you
like,
never know when you'd be ready to pitch, right? You
"That's
never
right."
know. And I think you and I have been preaching about it, Kara, because it's going to happen. I
Mhm.
mean, we're all about to go home to Thanksgiving, and like I always love to say, Aunt Lucy looks over at you and squints and says, "I still don't see a ring on that finger." I'm telling you, I'm about to go, Kara, I'm about to be around 150 people easily
Wow,
at my Thanksgiving. It's a
that
huge
sounds
outdoor
fun.
thing. My family is big. It's, rednecks are great, right? They make a lot of babies really quickly. And so I'm just being honest. I said it, right? It's my family.
I was going to
And
say
so
something else, but I won't about
probably
my race. But anyway,
like I know the conversation is going to come up because I'm 32 years old. And this conversation is going to come up for all your cousins too, all of them that are single or they're divorced or anything, because your family makes it their business to know your business, right? And
exactly.
so, this doesn't have to be a terrible experience. You can learn from this, but like Bella Claire said on her podcast episode, be ready. Be ready for this conversation. Know exactly what you want to say. Be relaxed. Have you said it in front of a mirror? Have you watched your face? Have you chosen your words? Because not everyone is a Carabelle, and not everyone is a Bella Claire or a Ken Burton. We speak very naturally. We're super extroverted people. We're probably, messy and out there, and we control a room, right? That's not everyone, and we
Yeah,
know that. And there's
right.
different attitudes and people who are going to appeal to different people. So be ready with your pitch. Understand what Cupid is. Understand, a basic FAQ of like what are the questions someone's going to ask? How much is it? How does it work? How do I get started? Do I just click the link? Do I go to the app store and download it? No, you use my unique link so I can get rewarded. Those kinds of things you need to have answers to immediately, so you don't stumble when you have the opportunity at hand. Because this week at Thanksgiving and all the things around Thanksgiving, you're going to have the opportunity to get clients probably 5 to 10 times. There's going to be a lot of opportunity at your hand. And you know what? You're going to roll the dice, you'll try, and what's the worst thing that happens? You don't get any clients. But best case scenario, you roll and you win. And that's what can happen this week if you are prepared.
Absolutely. And so because people may not feel comfortable in kind of leading a room or having that conversation over Thanksgiving, get creative and think of some ways. So I was thinking, what if you just sat down and you have Thanksgiving dinner and everybody's just chatting. Maybe your cousin just brought his new girlfriend, and maybe you could just start by saying, hey, how'd you guys meet? Right? You just
Perfect. Perfect conversation, because the chances are it was a dating app. Super unlikely for it to be in person. But if it was in person, your next follow-up statement can be, wow, I'm so impressed it wasn't on Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. And everyone goes, oh, those are terrible. And then perfect. You win again, Kara.
exactly. So everybody's talking about it, and then you can say, hey, you know what? Guess what I'm doing now? And they're going to think it's brilliant. So that's your cue that you can actually have people join in your conversation. You don't have to do the glass clinging. You can just
Yeah.
plant some seeds, ask some
Right.
questions. You guys met over Tinder, didn't you, Uncle Kenny and Aunt Mary? How many swipes did it take you to get to Aunt Mary?
Like a lot. Yeah. And
Or
what's interesting here is we're at the generation now where like my best friend met her husband on Bumble. So it's not just like it's been about a decade since these apps have been online. So now these apps have actually yielded relationships and yielded
right,
like marriages. And so it's
yeah,
likely somewhere in your family, someone actually met their partner or their boyfriend on a dating app. And then it's a great conversation starter to say, oh my gosh, you must have really loved Tinder. And the first thing they're going to say is, hell no, I didn't love Tinder. Are you kidding me? Like, 3 hours of my day, every day, 700 messages of the word hi, useless.
right, right. And
Yeah.
then I think that would be a perfect way. As a matter of fact, I might even, like, if I know I have some techie people in my family that aren't
Oh,
really into like the relationship and dating aspect. I might just share it as a tech aspect and say, have you heard about an app now that they did matchmaking? It's the first app where you can actually utilize a matchmaker and
sure.
just see what they have to say from a technology standpoint, or ask your uncle who may be a CEO or business owner, hey, how did you get started with your business? What do you do for marketing? Where do you think the best places for me to market are? So you can really kind
Yeah.
of get your family and friends involved and send them away from Thanksgiving dinner with a task.
Yeah, let's
Make
talk about that, Kara. What do you mean by that? Send your family away with a task. So what does that mean?
I feel like make them do the work. Give them a deadline. Hey, I'm starting this matchmaking business. I know you guys are going to be a great support and resource for me. I want each of you to bring me at least 2 people by December 10th, whether they be a client
Great.
or somebody that's a single that's tired of swiping that would love to be part of our database.
Perfect.
Done.
Perfect. And I mean, that sounds great, Kara. So you gave them a definitive goal, a numeric goal, right? Now, you didn't tell them to use your unique link, but I'm sure you would have if you were pitching them.
Of
You'd say,
course. Yes.
use my unique link to invite them, so I can track. Because like that's a bigger part of like why Cupid is so useful. We
Sure.
built this CRM for you, so you can track the progress of someone when they sign up. They become, become a single, become your client. You can track that process so you can get better. But
Mhm.
then finally, you gave a date. I would even say this week. I mean, if you were to sit down, like think about my family, right? 150 people. Do you think I'm going to tell everyone about Cupid? Hell yeah. Every single person. I might even hand out business cards to my family. Because the thing is, mathematically, you will win.
Mhm.
You will. If enough people join as singles and they hear about this and they say, "Oh well, my cousin's friend Kara is like a matchmaker on here." Yes, we might have hundreds of matchmakers on Cupid. They're not just going to choose anyone randomly. They're going to choose the person they were referred by. Reach out to you
Exactly.
in app and learn about it and say, "Hey, it's $100. I'll try it." What's the worst thing that can happen? And so, Kara, what you're talking about is utilizing your family because your family really does want the best for you. They might say mean
Right.
things. They might, their casseroles might be questionable on Thanksgiving. But remember, they want the best for you. And like
Right.
everyone wants to see their family succeed. And so it's a point of pride to see your people and and so help them help
Exactly.
you. And I haven't thought about that much, Kara. Like I'm going to get some cards made immediately, but like help them help you get this work done.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm like again, I'm the type of person that if I had the money, I'd rent out a stage and put a full performance on it about swiping and being exhausted and stuff. But once again, we just have to understand that not everybody has brings that same energy, and so there are other
Right.
ways that you can plant the seed and be very productive in initiating or having someone else initiate the conversation for you during the holidays.
Totally correct. Now, Kara, I want to switch gears real quick and talk about you because you successfully got Cupid's very first client. And we've gotten more clients since then, and it's great. So today's episode is all about like your first client, right? So talk to me about like from the very beginning, where did that come from? How did they get there? How did they sign up? And like what's the process? Because now the work actually begins. Like it's
Right,
great. Someone subscribed to you, you got paid. Like that's cool. Now
right,
we got to
right.
do the work. But like let's talk about from the beginning, did you just meet someone on the street? Like, what happened? Tell us the story.
So this is a client that I have worked with before.
Mm,
I know I preach this a lot, but your clients will be loyal to you if you treat them well and you give them a great experience. They will follow you to the moon and back.
great.
And Chris is a prime example of he's a client that would literally follow me to the moon and back because and let me share this. I never found Chris his someone.
Hmm.
I'm being honest.
Hmm.
I was close. We would talk a lot. I think he really valued my communication.
Hmm.
He knew that I wasn't just throwing things up against the wall, that I was being very selective in my process and that it was taking me longer. But Chris
Hmm.
appreciated that.
Sure.
And so I reached out to I've kind of kept in contact with Chris since I've
Okay.
been from that old company. And I reached out to him and I said, Chris, this is what I'm doing. And he said, whatever it is that you're doing, I want to be a part of.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
I sent him the link, and literally, as I was driving in the car 15 minutes later, Chris had already signed up, paid, and made his profile and was
Right.
reaching out to me and saying, now what? And he reached out to me through the platform, and I'm driving. So I had no idea. Ken's texting me, you got your first client. Chris is sending me a message, now what? And I didn't know any of this was going on until I got back home. And then I said, oh, Chris. So what I did was I reached out to him immediately to acknowledge and thank him.
Yes.
Don't leave anybody hanging because if they don't get acknowledgement right away, they're gonna
Yeah.
like, what did I just do? Like,
Right.
what's going on? So
Sure.
I reached out immediately to acknowledge him to let him know, hey, we got your profile. I'm so excited to be working with you again. And so he didn't have time to talk to me That was Friday. He didn't have
Mhm.
time to talk to me Friday. So we then scheduled to talk yesterday, which was Sunday. So I scheduled a time to talk with Chris when he would have about 30 minutes or so. Because I had worked with him previously, there was a lot that I really, really still remember about Chris.
Sure.
Probably more than I should know. But anyway, I remembered a lot and I said, I want to do our welcome meeting. I know that been working together for a couple of years now, but I just want to see if anything has changed, your hobbies and interests, or maybe what you're looking for has changed. Because people's tastes in other people will change periodically,
100%.
especially if they've been dating and they're having bad experiences with people that they feel like are ideal. They may just
Yeah.
change up the whole scenario altogether.
Sure.
So anyway, Chris and I had a welcome meeting, and so I went over basically, religion. How is it? How important is that to you? Are you religious? I remembered that he had children, so I said, "Okay, I remember that your daughter is this age, your son is this age," and then he reminded me that he had an older son, and I said, "That's right," because I had forgotten about him.
Mm.
We had talked about hobbies and interests, which were basically the same. Nothing has really changed with Chris, with the exception of the music that used to be just a little hobby with him. Chris is now performing live, doing karaoke, and doing shows now in Dunedin. And I
I
said,
love it.
I like this.
Yeah.
The other thing that I learned is that Chris said, "Oh, I want to show you something, Kara," because last time we talked, Chris was in the transition of moving. So he had moved into his new place, and he took me on a tour of his closet, which may sound weird, but he was especially proud of this because Chris has since picked up do-it-yourself projects, and he had basically sketched out how he wanted the closet to look, brought a designer in to do it, and he and this designer made his closet.
Yeah.
I
It's
was so
probably amazing,
jealous.
right, Kara? I know. I was gonna say you're probably so jealous.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm jealous. But that was, I know that may sound corny to you guys, but that was interesting to me because I found out that he was passionate about do it yourself stuff. I would
Right.
have never thought Chris was into, Chris sounds like a catch. He is, girl. Anyway, he
He's
is a hot
available
number.
now.
Yeah,
Lynn,
he's
you gotta find a
single.
client and connect him with Carol, and you guys can make a first match made in heaven would be amazing. But
He's
Chris
very
is on
handsome.
Cupid. I've
Mhm.
seen him. He is handsome.
Yeah, very handsome guy. He's a boss, runs his own company. But it was just interesting because that really showed me a different element of Chris that I didn't even know in the 2 years I've been working with him.
Mm. Kara, I have a very interesting thing to mention to you. So I was, of course, as I do every day, going through the Cupid database. I mean, I do it every day, almost every other hour. And there's a woman on the Cupid database who is a vintage clothing designer and
Ooh.
uh, like runs a vintage clothing design company. And so, what an interesting potential match for Chris, right? Who's literally right, she's already online right now on Cupid. And this is just so funny because I happen to know. And like, this kind of speaks to the fact that, like, Kara, you didn't have to go find this potential match. You could go later tonight, you sit down, pour that glass of wine, get some popcorn, Netflix it out, and then you start, searching through the database for Chris because the next stage of this process is we have to get to work for Chris.
Right.
Set expectations, help him understand, does he want a lot of people? Does he want a little bit of people? How does he want this to work? And then making sure the process works for him. But that's kind of the next step of Cupid. But like,
Right.
I wanna focus on that next step a little bit later because this call is about getting your first client. So,
Okay.
Kara, you have worked in matchmaking before. What you've done, and it's kind of amazing. I want to call back real quick. You never found Chris his person, which is amazing that he'd come work with you again. But what it tells me is you care, and Chris values that, and Chris does not want to do this for himself. Full stop. That's it. This doesn't have to be a complicated business, actually. Like, if I don't want to go do swiping, right? What other options do I have? If I can hire Kara for $100 a month, hell, take my money, throw the money at Kara because it's an amazing time savings.
Well, you know what the beautiful part was is what he said to me was, Kara, I had no idea really what it was, right? I have no idea how much I paid. I didn't know what the expectations are, how many dates I get. I didn't know anything about it. What I did know is I wanted to follow you and support you. That's
Got
what
it.
he told me. And I
Got
was
it.
like, oh, Chris,
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
right?
And Lynn, we really appreciate you in the comments. I'm watching all of your comments, and like, yeah, we totally agree. We've priced this really well. You know, this is meant to be a price that anyone can afford. Chris runs his own company. Chris can afford to like design his own closet. He's the dream. He's not going to care about the price. He
Right. He
clearly
was shocked.
cares about Carabelle is who cares about. But the beauty here, Lynn, at it being just $99 a month means anyone can afford that. Anyone. They got a job, your bartender can afford that, like anyone. So
Yeah.
don't let price be, the thing that stops you. And Genevieve agrees, says like time is money.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that we remember, and everyone's gonna have a different pitch, and we don't really want to tell you how to run your pitch. But one of the biggest things that you can focus on as a matchmaker is the value of the person's time that's in front of you, whether they're going to be a single or a client. No matter what, Cupid is always a more efficient process because they're not doing the work. We as matchmakers are. And that's the story. So Genevieve, thanks for the comment. I really appreciate you guys like popping in the comments there. But Kara, that is such a great story about what success looks like as a matchmaker and then what it's going to look like for so many hundreds and thousands of matchmakers in the future who go out and make their own successes and their own deep, intimate relationships that they don't always result in a marriage for their client. It might result in time savings or trying or new experiences or learning about themselves. And all of this is possible through Cupid. So yeah, I'm really inspired hearing that, honestly.
Yeah, I wanted to be honest. At some point in time, I'd love to maybe have one of my clients on to just share with you why they follow me, or what they like about, me, or what they like about other matchmakers, because they will follow you to the moon and back. And once again, Chris said, I didn't know if my card was swiped for 50,000 or 500,000. I just knew it was Carabelle and I was following and supporting you.
That's a very special client, Kara. We can all be so lucky to have that kind of client.
10 more Chris's, right?
Yeah.
But so I left him at the end of the conversation. I told him what the expectations were.
And what were the expectations you set? Where were they, Kara?
So I said to him, Chris, you know that I really value transparency. And knowing Chris, I know usually about Thursdays, Chris sends me a message and says, I'm free this weekend, Kara, right? So knowing that, I said, Chris, I'm going to check in with you every Thursday because I know that you really value communication. It's just going to be a quick text, right? I said, but this is my expectation in terms of how many matches that I feel that I can provide for you. Right now, you're my very first client, so the world is yours. And he just was like,
great. Yeah, everyone loves the attention on them, right? It feels good.
I hope you don't get any more. He said, I hope you don't get any more clients, Kara, but I know that's not the case. Right. And I said, you're right. So I set down just expectations of how many matches I felt that I could provide to him a month, right? Knowing Chris, because I know him and I know he's selective. Sure. So I said, knowing that you're selective, probably once a month is probably going to be good. If I give you 2, then he said, hey, that would just once is good. That would be golden. But Chris knows that I'm going to send 2 really fabulous ladies that check off all his requirements. So Chris doesn't need 6 matches in a month.
Sure. Great. And it's great that you said that up front, because unlike conventional matchmaking, he's not paying per date, right? The subscription is flat. So he simply pays and he trusts Kara. And the fact that you set that up, and Kara, I want to remind other matchmakers that are listening, your relationship with your client is always unique. Every client, every one of them is unique. And that's the beauty of this business. It's like, you're going to love this. You get to know your clients, get to know their families. Kara went to understand, she took a tour of someone's closet, which might sound weird, but I think that's going to be super common. Your client needs to be able to let their hair down, tell the honest truth, not be judged, not feel like they can't be honest with you, and be real. And so, you know, by setting those expectations, Kara, I think what's going to happen is even if it takes 3 or 4 months to start really finding and building the Cupid database, you're not going to lose that client.
Oh,
They're
he's
going to stay
okay with
with
that.
you.
Hmm.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And Kara, I wanted to ask you something, and that you're gonna break my heart if you don't say yes to this. So I'm just gonna warn you. Did you set up a task in the Cupid CRM to remind you to text Chris on Thursdays?
Nope. Is the heart broken? And the
No,
only
it's okay.
reason I didn't do that is because number one, well, the conversation I had with Chris was a little late. Not that that's an excuse. No,
Sure.
there, no excuses. I didn't. Chris is my first client.
Yeah.
So right now I know Thursdays, Chris. It's always been that way with Chris. That's how it
Sure.
will continue to be with Chris. But as I get other clients that I don't know that well, I'm absolutely, as soon as I got off the phone, I would set in my reminders and my tasks.
Perfect. Because
So
guys, if you haven't opened up the Cupid
good
app
point.
and taught the little briefcase at the bottom, the CRM, we've built these tools to help you remember because none of us are superhumans, right? If you have a conversation with your client like that, use the notes. Make notes and comments to yourself so you can't forget. Because as here's the future, matchmakers. You're going to get clients. It's not an if, it's a when. The price is too good to pass up, so you're going to get clients. Then the next question becomes, how well are you going to manage your clients? The good and the bad of Cupid is there's a lot of matchmakers out there. So if you don't do a good job servicing your clients, there's other matchmakers they will select. Now, they have a relationship with you, so it's not threatening. Matchmakers aren't going to steal your clients. That's not the business model here.
Right.
But you have to be good. So use the tools we put in place for you. Provide quality service to your clients. Set expectations. This is your job. And Kara is showing a beautiful example of how you can do it going above and beyond. But take this upon yourself to say, this is my business. I take it seriously. I have a schedule. I dedicate time. I use tasks and systems. We don't actually care if you do or not internally. It's up to you. We built it to make you more efficient. If you have a better way to do it, totally fine. Just we want to make sure we're building the tools and services that help you be a better matchmaker and scale because of our price point, you don't make an enormous amount of money per client. And we'll talk a little bit about that later about how we're going to expand the price points. Because it sounds like someone like Chris might pay a little more for a higher level of service, which is something Kara desperately wants to have. But at the current situation at $99 a month, you only make $80 per client. So you need quite a few to be really successful and start feeling like, okay, this is like my core income, not the other way around. So, just feel free to use it like that. And I want to pull up a comment that Lynn said, Kara. Lynn said it's quality and people get to learn about themselves and each other. That's what matchmaking is. It'd be so cool to hear from Kara's clients. I absolutely agree, Kara. One day, I think that should be something we do in the new year. Maybe we'll bring on some clients. You know what? With you in these classes, how I feel is like we're gonna end up having the view. It's gonna be every week. It's gonna be the view on like the current landscape of relationships, and it's gonna be war stories, and it's gonna be so much of that kind of stuff. So we're getting our daily spam comments. Sorry,
I see
y'all.
it.
I
Hot
got it
girls
removed.
here.
I got it removed. So one more, I want to pop back over real quick, guys, before we go to our next topic, because I want to remind you, like, what we've done inside the Cupid app. I was just talking to Kara about this, and I'm logged in as a single. So if you guys see Teresa Stevens, this is my mom. It's not her real last name. It's a picture of her, but this is not a real user, so don't check her out. But a couple of things I want to call to attention going into Thanksgiving. So something that you're going to see on your Matchmaker dashboard that's going to be implemented this week, and if it's your first time tuning in, y'all, understand that we at Cupid are constantly building new solutions. Get used to things changing. And hey there, Tina, nice to see you. Good morning as well.
Okay.
I want you to get used to this app changing a lot. But one of the things that your singles see that you as matchmakers currently don't see is the most active matchmakers. And you might say to yourself, oh, there's Kara. You might say to yourself, where does this come from? Well, it's pretty easy to see. It comes from the invite list. We reward you as matchmakers for inviting more singles. This is not number of clients. This is just the number of singles that you've invited to the Cupid platform that created accounts. Do you want the opportunity on Cupid to get a ton more clients? Well, if you show up on the dashboard of 5,000 singles every day, what do you think the chances are that someone's going to want to talk to you and select you? out of the hundreds or thousands of matchmakers out there. So what we're trying to build here is logical systems that help you be successful without money. It's just effort. Just doing the thing you know you got to do. You got to advertise. You have to help build a single database. It helps you. It helps me. It helps Kara. It helps Bella. It helps all of us to have more singles. Because Kara, like I mentioned for your client Chris, that woman who does the vintage closing design, she might be an amazing match for him. You've got to go like check her out. I think she's really going to be interesting.
Okay.
But you did not invite her. You don't even know who she is. She was invited to Kupid by someone else. And that, matchmakers, is the beauty of Kupid. If you start learning and hearing about matchmaking traditionally, it was these separate databases where everyone had their own separate networks of clients and singles. And so as a matchmaker, you rush over here, you say, okay, I got a client. And then you rush back and you're like, shoot, my database doesn't have someone for them. I got to rush around. And so you're constantly dividing your time from working on the actual job of your business to then filling your database. Kupid is the opposite. Kupid is made with a joint database of singles. So I just like kind of hone in on this because Thanksgiving can be gangbusters for Kupid. Right now, we have under 100 singles online. But you know what we do have? This is a single, I'm doing as a single. We have almost 140 matchmakers and clearly a cat, this is not our preference, by the way, guys. We're going to start banning and then changing some things if you upload a picture of your cat. But that's okay. It's a cat for now. So what I just want to remind you guys is we at Kupid are going to keep building tools and services for you to remind you and incentivize you. Be adding to the community at all times. If you're adding on singles, you're going to get benefits. We're not going to send you clients, but there's going to be tools and services. Let me give you an example, Kara. I haven't even told you about this. I love throwing things at you, Kara, that you haven't even heard about, right?
For my facial expressions, is that why you do it? Lord knows.
Well, Kara, you know me because I text you incessantly, and like if you get into like the in crowd with the matchmakers, like you start hanging out with us a lot. I don't sleep. I'm obsessive to build this business for you. It's me and a team of 4 people who are building this for you every single day, 7 days a week we work. And so one of the things that we're building, and I want to kind of talk to you about what that's going to look like, is when a new person signs up to Kupid, obviously they've been referred by a matchmaker. It's going to be a different experience, but let's just say someone heard about it from someone. They didn't have a link. They sign up for Kupid. They're going to be prompted with 2 things. Number 1, they're prompted with a red light, yellow light, green light. Red light is I'm not actually dating. I'm just checking out this app. Yellow light is I'm open to dating, and here's what I'm looking for. And green light is I'm ready to date, and here's my person. That's coming very soon. It'll probably be here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that helps our matchmakers have a more definitive understanding and filter, because it's not if, it's when. When Kupid has 40,000 singles, it's going to be harder to use. And it's our job to help sift through those people and deliver them to you. But I'll tell you one more thing, Kara. The same situation, after they define their relationship goals, they're going to be hit with a notification, and this will come quite often. And it will say, are you looking to hire a matchmaker? And it's going to be red light, yellow light, green light. No, I am not. I'm just browsing. Fine, we leave you alone. I'm open to it. Fine. I'm ready. The ready experience will go to something totally different, where we will actually serve them 3 matchmaker profiles that we believe fit their interests. And that might be, maybe if they're gay, we might connect them with like 1 gay matchmaker, 1 that says I'm pro-LGBT. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Language sharing, all kinds of things that might associate you together. What you'll hear, there's nothing about location. So it doesn't matter if you live in Alaska or Hawaii or New York City or Miami. Right. Location is not significant to this because we have a shared database. But what I'm trying to teach you guys is Kupid is literally going to work to build tools to hook you up with clients. We're going to want to fill your schedule. And we want you to be covered in clients. So you're like, gosh, Ken, I already have 30 clients. I wish I could handle more. I want more, but I wish I could handle them. Let me close my door real quick. Sorry, guys. Ugh. Someone's doing some very loud. I have my door open. It's beautiful weather here in Florida.
I couldn't hear it. It is beautiful today.
That's good. That's good. So, Kara, what I'm trying to tell you guys is I want you as matchmakers to understand what Kupid is. We are a platform that wants you to be successful because we share the revenue model. So we're very invested in getting you clients. The question is, if someone signs up and they want to become a client, we want them to be connected with a good matchmaker. How do we know who's a good matchmaker? The matchmakers who are out there building their network, who are inviting more singles, are clearly much more active. If you've invited one single in the last 60 days, do you think we're going to risk it and send you a potential client? Hell no, we're not. We would never do that because the success rate is super low.
Right.
Now, will we mix in someone who has a ton of clients and someone who has fewer clients? Yes, we will. We're going to mix that in, and we'll, every single person who says yes, I want to hire a matchmaker is going to see a different vision of the matchmaker database. We're going to make predictions and build tools to say what we think is going to fit. All that is to say, sorry, I'm preaching about tech here, but Kara, the reason why I'm saying this is Kupid and matchmakers have a vested interest. We are in it together. We make $0. You make $0 if you don't get clients. So you'll hear, we don't charge for training. We don't charge for certification. We don't charge for any of the tools that we do. We build you tools and services because we are obsessed with you making money. Because when you make money, we make money. So what I want to, if you hear one thing from today's training, guys, you can do this. You're walking to Thanksgiving, galvanize your family, share your unique link. Do that so we know who our talented matchmakers are. Build your network, because over time, we're going to show how many people you've invited to Kupid on your profile. That's going to help people understand, oh, that matchmaker has a big network. There's someone I want to work with, right? Help you differentiate when there's hundreds or thousands of other matchmakers. So Kara, I'm sorry, I just totally did a whole impromptu sermon.
I think it was needed, though. I think sometimes just the impromptu sermons are needed. What I was thinking about, Ken, as you were speaking, is I did some kind of cold calling this weekend. And there was one thing that I wanted to share with everyone that I had to quickly remind myself, right? Is that I put together some kind of marketing information, who I was, what my services were, and I sent out 2 emails. And I realized after I sent it that I had also put down that, oh, if you don't want to hire me as a matchmaker, you can be in the database for free, which is true. But then I said, wait a minute, hold on. Let me think about that from a sales standpoint. If somebody's going to offer me either the matchmaker or free, I'm probably going to take what?
Free, most likely.
Right. So I said, okay, Kara, you need to re-strategize. You need to stick with the matchmaker and the price point of $99. And if they don't see the value there, then after maybe 2 months, I might reapproach them and say, what about, or let me not say 2 months, but a month. After I feel like I've exhausted my resources trying to get them to hire me as a client, then I'd say, okay, how about as a last resort, I put you in the database for free. So you got to get your feet wet to see how you like it. And then I reapproach 6 months down the road, them becoming a client again.
Precisely. And Kara, what I like hearing is that you are looking at the long game here. Matchmaking this is not a huge price tag, but Kara, you're definitely going to hit our K10 community, our K10 club, probably one of the fastest. You and Bella Claire, maybe Linda, some of these people who have a lot of experience and are really adamant about this. You're going to get to open up pricing. And so, especially when it gets beyond the price of $100, we have other pricing tiers like $299, $599, even $1,000, $2,000 a month. It might take time to actually sell that. So someone doesn't necessarily swipe their credit card the moment they meet you for $1,000. It might take 2 or 3 conversations. And then they might say, I'm excited that you know who I am. I'm interested. And that's the kind of longevity you have to think about. But I think at the top of the show, you talked about planting seeds. What Thanksgiving can be is a planting seeds fest. Lots and lots of seed planting for your new year. It won't take so long, because when people go to those holiday parties and they watch the ball drop, right, Kara? It's the same feeling we all have, which is it can be lonely. If you're single or you know someone who's single or whatnot, what happens? People talk about this stuff. They get 2 drinks in them and they start getting real chatty, okay? And so, I do. I get painfully honest. That's the problem. I'm just way too honest. And they're like, yeah, could you be less honest, please?
I'm always that way. That's my problem.
Well, I get a little too direct. My favorite thing is whatever, gosh, Kara, I'll make you laugh. I'll make the people, and we have some comments I want to pull up. My favorite thing when I go to parties or I drink, especially with straight people, Kara, you've met me in person, so you know I am 6'5". I work out usually 5 to 6 days a week. I'm not a bad looking guy, and so what's really funny is straight men are usually very intimidated by me. And that's fine, it happens, right? And so, and they always love to hit you with that comment of like, oh, don't hit on me, bro. And my favorite thing at these parties, I'll drink, I'll get the shot, I'll have 2 drinks with you. I'll say things like, sorry, I just have never been attracted to neck beards. So, and like, I really prefer men that have 2 eyebrows and not one. It's one of those very honest, very,
not
like,
the unibrower, right?
Or the girls, they look over and they're like, yeah, check your privilege. Like, he's not interested in you and you're a mess.
Oh my gosh,
thinking,
that is hysterical. I love that. I would be the same way. I'm not subtle about like, what is the saying? It's very Southern. It's called, you don't sugar your shade. Meaning if you're throwing shade at somebody, you don't try to sugarcoat it. You just throw shade and be done.
I haven't heard that, Kara. I love that.
Really? I don't sugar my shade, is what I say.
All right, bring it back. We have about 10 more minutes left. I want to answer some of these comments. So okay. Lynn had a really good question. Lynn, thank you so much for adding so many comments. So Lynn's talking about this one. So Lynn said, what's the best way to invite to the app? Let's answer this question first for you, Lynn. So best way to invite to the app is always copying the link, right? Yep. This is your unique link. How you share it is up to you. Now, if you guys try to use these buttons on here, we've had some problems with Apple. So Apple recently had a big iOS update, and now these buttons don't work. We are sorry, we're going to fix it. Basically, any experience you have like this, let me call it out real quick. If you're not already a part of our Discord community, you can reach out to me directly there. I usually am like online from like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. So we'll usually give you a suggestion of how to fix it or tell you if it's not working, we know already. But to answer your question, Lynn, yes, you can copy this and text it to people, but what you can also do is use social. I post every single day. If you haven't checked it out, I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all of these. I'm posting about my journey of building Kupid, and it's really fun, right? How you do this, how you generate clients and singles is totally unique to you. So I welcome you to do that. The one thing I wanted to say, oh, hey, Tassandra, I see your comments. Tassandra and I had a fabulous call yesterday. Tassandra, thank you so much for tuning in. But Lynn, I want to answer the second comment you had. Are we able to post short videos of our clients and post them on our profile? Inside Kupid, there's no videos of clients. There's nothing of this yet. Content is the future. We believe that as we have 10,000, 100,000, a million singles on the platform, we're going to start allowing matchmakers to create content inside of Kupid about their matchmaking methodology, their experience, their expertise in those things. That's coming in the future. It's not now. I would caution you, Lynn, without your clients' express permission, I would never share their profile with anyone. It's a private network. It's not meant to be public to everyone. When your client joins Kupid, no other singles can see them unless they've been connected by a matchmaker. So my answer is I encourage you to post videos about matchmaking relationships and your experience of being a matchmaker. Exposing your client like that is not the path I would go down. I mean, Kara, what's your opinion? If we want to find Chris a match, like how would you approach this?
I guess my first question would be what is the video of, and how do you feel that would help to describe your client, I guess? Like what would be the need for the video? To show how active they are, or just to show them in action? Like, that's my thing.
Well, I can tell you that, like, if you guys have ever used Hinge, it has a lot of like video functionality. We absolutely want to do that, but we've only been online for 4 whole days. So next year we'll start having voice notes on the profile. We'll start having videos, more images. The profiles will be much more filled out, so you'll be able to see and understand a lot more about someone. Right now it's very basic. A lot of things will be basic to the beginning. But Lynn, we appreciate the question. I think I kind of understand what you're saying. I just caution you, please do not take pictures or videos of clients and post them on other profiles. Got it. So Lynn is saying, good to know. See, there's an option to have a short video in action. Yes, not yet. Lynn, it's coming, but keep these suggestions coming. If you'll share them on Discord, I communicate that to the rest of the team. We're saying, hey, this is what we think we need, but it's all based around clients. So Lynn, go do us a favor over Thanksgiving. Get two or three clients so we can start prioritizing your feedback even higher. Because obviously, the matchmakers who have clients, your expectations and your wisdom is elevated because you're having success at the platform, right? So just don't ever forget that.
So
Um,
interesting.
right?
Back in the day, Ken, and this may have been, I don't know, before Ken time, BK. Um,
Mm, BC,
there
BK.
was there was a matchmaking service that used video introductions. So I'm wondering, Lynn, if that's where kind of her ideology was going down of just being able to have that short video introduction and see a voice and how they speak and their
Yeah.
tonality and their cadence and things. So I think I get what she was saying now.
Yeah, I get it too, and I'll tell you, Kara, like in my perfect world, whenever you're screening a potential match, that's not actually via text, right? Maybe it's via text or maybe it's via video, where you're as Carabelle on your phone, you say, "Hi there, Jackie. Like I'm interviewing you for my clients. I think you're really interesting. I love reading your profile. Can you tell me a little bit about X, Y, and Z and kind of expound upon that fact?" We get your video and then we get their response would be fabulous. What a great example of, I guess Lynn totally got what you were saying, Kara. So thank you, Lynn, for shooting so many notes and messages.
Oh, Love Connection. Have you ever seen that with Chuck
No,
Woolery?
what is it?
See, Lynn, that's before Ken's time. We'll be back in 2 and 2. It's called Love Connection.
Okay.
And the host was Chuck Woolery. And
Okay.
Chuck would show the singles like a little video excerpt of their potential mate. And that's how they would select which one they would want to go out with. Is that right,
I
you
think
guys? I think I
I think
remember.
I've seen
I
a
used to love
parody
that.
of Kara. I've seen a parody of this on SNL. That's so funny. I think that's what I've seen. But listen, like video is so important. But I'll be honest with you guys, especially early in, we need 3 to 6 months, and we need several thousand matchmakers and clients before we can start investing in that. Because like honestly, it's storage. It's very expensive. So like we will absolutely go down the video path. Whatever makes the experience better for matchmakers, for clients, and for singles, we're gonna go down that path. We just gotta get bigger first. It seems like you have a lot of people who've watched that show, Kara. You got a lot of people like calling out saying, "Yes, they totally got it."
Yeah, it's classic. I'll be back in 2 and 2. Chuck Woolery.
All right, let me throw in some more of these comments. So Joanna says, "My clients always tell me they didn't know what services they needed until I let them know." So that's a great conversation, Joanna, around what Thanksgiving is going to look like. So the first conversation around Cupid is actually just, what is it? Whenever you tell someone about dating or their dating experience, in their mind, they only have bars, events, kind of this like random chance time, some kind of thing. And then the other side is swipe based dating apps. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, blah, blah, blah. They're all the same thing, right? It doesn't really matter. That's all they understand. Showing them that there's a third option that's less time, less effort, less work on their part is quite attractive. And so, even if someone is not ready to become a client yet, introducing them to the concept and then saying, "Hey, download the app. Here's my link. Let's check it out." It's not a huge barrier to entry. It's not scary. Think about it. So, introducing people to the concept of Cupid hopefully isn't that challenging. It's a simple concept of like having someone else, the slogan we use is dating done for you. So having someone else do the dating for you, and then you got to kind of sit back. So yeah, I think we've gone through all the comments, Kara. I'm just going to check in. We have about 6 more minutes left.
Okay.
So Kara, you and I talked at the top of the call before we went on here about some phrases that we could use and some tools we could use to inspire the conversation around relationships and matchmaking. One of my favorites is this one, which is, "So are you seeing anyone?" You know? And actually, the preface to this comment could be, "How have you been?" These are super broad. It's not, "How are you?" "How have you been?" "I'm checking in. I'm seeing where you're at." I mean, Kara, of my 150 people, I probably have 30 or 40 cousins that every year I see them twice a year, maybe. And mostly what we do is we talk about like their life. How have you been?
Yeah. I
What's
feel
going
like
on?
I feel like Thanksgiving is a time of year and the holidays where you don't see a lot of your family members, and it's time to kind of play catch up. So everybody wants to
Right.
know, what's evolved in your life since last time, right?
Seriously. Right.
I saw a movie on Netflix I wanted to recommend to you guys because we were talking about it last week. It's called Single All the Way.
Okay.
And it is two gay men that happen to be best friends and roommates that really don't realize that they should be together, but everybody else, their whole family realizes, why aren't you guys dating?
Interesting.
But the whole what was funny was as soon as he told his family he was coming home for the holidays, what do you think the first question was
Are
from the
you
mom?
bringing Tyler? Are you bringing your roommate? Right? Are you
Who are
bringing
you
him?
bringing
Like,
with
hopefully.
you? Yeah.
Oh, of course, of course.
And I said, see, I've been saying this, I've been saying this, I've been saying this. Because people are, you don't have to tell people you're single. People are going to look around at the dinner. If your man is not there, honey,
They
clearly she's
know.
single,
It's
right?
very clear who's single.
Or you will be after today because Thanksgiving and your guy's not with you. Like, yeah, yeah. So it's just it's honesty, right?
Yeah.
So somebody's gonna say to you, are you dating anybody? Are you looking
Right.
for anybody? Or uh your parents and your family and friends love to call other people out
Right. Of
on
course they do.
Thanksgiving. The
Very
good, the bad,
common.
and the ugly.
Yeah. And Kara, we have about 4 minutes left. I want to call it the last little piece. Is you mentioned this comment earlier. You know, this is whenever like people are getting to that conversation around like dating apps. You know, this is going to happen. So as a matchmaker, like in reality, the only competition we have for like this part of your brain, if you imagine your brain is like a real estate, you know, like this part of your brain is like dating. Really, the competition is dating apps. And so reminding people, okay, cool, you know, cousin Jessica found someone, but Derek, like, how many swipes does it take you to get a match? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And you're like, okay, but like time wise, is it like 5 minutes? Is it 7 minutes? And he's like, no. And you, Kara, what you can do is you can be real techie and you can say, oh, can we see how much time you spend on your app? Because all of your
Ooh,
phones track that. And did you know, Kara, and matchmakers, if you want to bring a statistic home with you on Thanksgiving, can be one of
wow.
the appetizers, is that swipe-based dating apps, specifically Tinder, the average active user of Tinder uses 60 to 90 minutes per day on Tinder swiping, with less than one match on an average day. So just imagine the productivity. Like, you know, my favorite thing to say is like, think about if you have a cousin who's a lawyer, right? Or a doctor. Okay, it's someone who, you know, basically their time, their hours are very valuable, right? So it's an easy conversation. Lawyers even better, right? You know, when we pay a startup attorney, we pay them $350 an hour. That's an insane rate, but it's what we
Right.
do. We have to. Their hours worth $350, and you say to them, so you're really spending an hour per day. If that's 3 or 4 times a week, that's $1,000 a week of like your sacrificed value. And you're telling me you're not willing to invest $100 a month to solve that. Well, now they just sound like they're dumb, right? That the math doesn't make sense there.
Or they just enjoy being miserable. Like,
Yeah, that's also a
yeah, no, it
possibility.
doesn't make sense. It doesn't
Yeah,
make sense at all. It's literally $99 a month.
right. Well, helping, but our job as matchmakers, we're not trying to focus on desperation. We're trying to focus on the opportunity of what life is like on the other side. You know, I've
So,
been in sales for a decade, Kara. I worked in sales in China, in Germany, here in the US. I've sold, you know, 20, $30 million of software in my life. You can focus on the pain point of some experiences, but the likelihood is if they're single, they look at their finger, they know what it's like to lay down in bed and it's cold next to them. Matchmakers, it is not your job to like rub salt in the single wound. Your job is to paint the vision. It's to say, you know, if you were working with me, here's how your life would be. That's what you're doing. You're painting a beautiful future of once they go over the rainbow. And by the way, ticket over the rainbow is only $100. So let's not forget that. That is our job as matchmakers.
right.
Kara, we got to head out. I'm going to give you the last word. Anything else you want to leave us with before we break for Thanksgiving? Heads up, guys, we're not going to be here Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday at 1 p.m., but no show on Wednesday. So, Kara, what's our final word?
Attitude and gratitude.
Mm, be gracious. Have a great Thanksgiving. Be productive. Be successful.
Yeah,
And, you know, we'll see you on Friday.
that's right. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I will let you guys go. Kara, thank you so much again, and I'll see you after Thanksgiving when we start. What is that, Mariah Carey season?
That's right. No fighting over the white meat.
Bye, y'all.